what the CrossFit community is and all those things. Like, we're the ones cheering on the weak and the struggling and, all those. And that's empowering. People need that because you don't know their history or, their life story. Shawna Guerrero, and I'm a CrossFitter. So I have 2 children and a husband. They're 7 and 8. And I would go to the gym almost every day. I would run on the treadmill. I would do the bicycle. I would do the elliptical. And I felt like nothing was changing. I had no routine. I had no guidance. And I wanted more. My sister-in-law was doing something called CrossFit. And I was very interested, and it seemed really hard and expensive and intimidating. But I had desire to try it. So I tried it, and I was addicted. I was hooked immediately. I've got my husband to come here, and he's always been he was about 275 pounds when we first got together, and through CrossFit and determination and just going and doing it and eating right and just being dedicated, he's now 191 pounds, and I don't think he's ever been that weight ever. He's like, hey babe, come over here and show me how you do that snatch again and tell me what I'm doing wrong, and that kind of made me feel good that he would look up to me for that. I did work with children for a long time, for about 2 years doing physical education. And I loved how the kids thought that I was an inspiration. I fed off of that because they would see how strong I was and what I would do, and I would then incorporate small CrossFit moves to the children, and they, even though it was hard for them and kind of difficult and strenuous, they were still like determined, like, Miss Shawna, let's do this or let's do that. And I think it made them feel good that they could go home and say that they did CrossFit in a sense at school. And to me, that makes me feel good because hopefully I instilled something positive in them for them to grow and carry that on with their life. There was this one girl, she never ever would run. She'd always walk in PE. And I would run alongside her, and I'm like, we'll do this. And I had a routine that popped in my head. I'm like, we'll run for 10 seconds, and we'll go for that full 10, and then we'll walk for 10 seconds. And then we'll run for 10, and then we'll walk. And pretty soon, all these people that were running, all the children that were running, we're passing them because we stayed consistent. And the spirit and happiness in her face that she got out of it was priceless. To me, it was like $1 million, Like, I showed that she could do it. She didn't have to walk because of whatever she felt inside of her, because she was bigger or taller or whatever, or people were faster and all those things. She still did it and completed it, and I think that's like the best feeling in the world. I tell people all the time, like my friends that, don't really know anything about it, and they're like, oh, I could never do that. I could never lift weights, or that's so hard. And I think, well, it is hard, and it does take dedication, and it is, intimidating, and it does get rough, but at the same time, I walked in here not being able to do a push-up. I couldn't do a pull-up. I couldn't, even on my knees, a girl push-up, I couldn't even do one, And if you just do it and you try it, maybe only 1 or 2 or 3 or maybe none, but if you just come and you try and you do your best, you get there to where you want to be. There's always somebody better and there's always somebody who's less, but it still feels good to yourself because you're better than you were. What the CrossFit community is and all those things, like, we're the ones cheering on the weak and the struggling and, all those, and that's empowering. People need that because you don't know their history or, their life story, and you don't know what they go through, and I'm one of those who loves to share that, I want people to know, really where I came from. I'm not just some athletic person who's done sports her whole life. I probably could have, to be honest, but I couldn't afford it. I was that poor child who, I couldn't afford to do those things even if I wanted. I used to be a drug addict. I suffered from addiction since I was 15 years old. And The main reason was I used meth and I wanted to be skinny and have energy, and I almost feel like it corrected my ADHD and made me feel a little normal. And I really struggled for a long time. My husband and I lost our kids, and then I got clean. And we came up here. My husband found a job, and I got a job, and we got our kids back, and our life was stable. And that is where I initially had all this weight gain and insecurity and wanted change in my life to feel better without those things in my life. I never thought I would be a role model. Even to say that seems kind of weird, but I know I am, because obviously my friends and the children at school and stuff like that have shown me that I am. And my children, they're so inspired. They'll sit next to me like, Mom, I want to do a pull-up, and I'll help my son with his little feet and kind of guide him up to do a pull-up, and he's doing kipping and all those things. And I think that's really important, because I want them to be addicted to something positive, you know, because I never had that. It's changed my life.